Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Weekends with Amit. The subject that we are discussing today can sound a little cinematic. The subject for today is hero's journey. Now, who is the hero? During this journey, what does the hero do? Is there a villain around? We'll get to know a lot about it. Or is there something more profound beneath this simple thing, hero's journey? Let me welcome Professor Amit Goswami and Dr. Valentina Onisor.
Hello, Krishanu. Hello, everyone.
Thank you for joining the show. Today's subject is hero's journey, and this is sometimes an intriguing name, particularly for the uninitiated. So, this journey that we will be discussing today and that we will know more about today involves a lot of profound things. So, from very common sense of point of view, there will be some question: who is the hero? Where is this journey taking place? Is there a villain around? Will there be some action? Or are there going to be more profound underlying things that everyone should know? So let us embark on this journey with Professor Goswami.
Hello, everyone. The subject is very appropriate to uh, some people, whereas for others, it is not as appropriate as could be, especially today because we have a crisis condition brought about by faulty worldview, and many people are being manipulated every day in terms of developing not very useful belief systems. These belief systems are very limiting. One is the scientific materialism, everything is matter philosophy. The other one is, of course, religion that has been with us for a long time. Why are these systems not so useful? Because they're dogmatic. Dogma is a limitation of the human uh, quest of what is possible. Dogma says, no, with this dogma is correct. You have to wear this straight jacket of this dogma, or else. Or else what? Or else you become an outsider. Or else you have to do your own hero's journey on your own. And many people, for one reason or another, shy away from it. There is much advantage in staying in the system. Okay, what to the point? So, what is so special about hero's journey? Well, hero's journey, the hero, the picture of the hero, is that was discovered for a long time. It's in our mythology, as Joseph Campbell, the great mythologist, uh, have made very clear. He wrote a book, The Hero of the Thousand Faces. Indeed, I don't know if there are thousand faces, but I'm aware of quite a few faces, going all the way, coming all the way from ancient to recent times. The hero's journey has never stopped. It is alive, as I said, for quite a few people. And okay, rest of you, listen to this. If this starts ringing a bell, then you are ready too. Most of our listeners will be ready because I mean, the 85% for whom the hero's journey means nothing, they usually don't come to hear me or Valentina. So that being the case, we can talk. This is the this is the cream of the crop. This is the essential journey that sooner or later you have to embrace. Might as well hear about it and see if it fits your aspirations right now. It is quite scientific, by the way. And I, being on the scientific side, as usual, will tell you about the science that has developed. Mythology is there already. Joseph Campbell has written about it, but it is Carl Jung who discovered the scientific aspect of these things. What makes it scientific is that these are aspects already codified in the collective unconscious of humanity. These are aspects of potentiality of human situation. And these potentialities have been codified. What does that mean? Has been codified meaning others have done this already. And because others have done this, there are images in the collective unconscious. To this day, they come to us and inspire us. Okay, are you aware that there is this journey? And it's true because, I have seen images appear to me. Valentina has seen images appear to me. I have talked to many people for whom the images that Carl Jung talks about is quite common. Not in the same way as Jung posited, because of course Jung's subjects were all Westerners, so the Western images will appear. They are more like the images that you see in the tarot cards, which is based on the same idea, hero's journey of the archetypes. But in other systems, I grew up in India, so the archetypes appear in the symbology of the Indian gods and goddesses. But what I'm saying is that you can decipher the journey easily. Okay, so let me talk about the journey as deciphered by Carl Jung, based on his research on many, many people's dreams and aspirations. So, there are 12 of them. They're all states, possible states of the human ego. The first two are where people live generally. One he called the innocent. In Jung's time, people were indeed people of this type. They were unaware of the hero's journey. They just lived a happy-go-lucky life without a worry. Some of it was negative, but not as negative as we see today. And some of it was positive. You can still find, if you go to Indian villages or African villages or maybe even Brazilian villages or Mexican villages, you can still find such people. Very seldom you find such people in countries like USA or Europe. Why? Because in Europe, such people were there before, but now they have been all manipulated into various dogmatic belief systems. Either the scientific materialism, everything is matter philosophy, or in the backlash of religion. Okay. That's the basic, the innocent. After the innocent stage, we come to the what Carl Jung called everyman stage. Okay, this one is where you have begun to see the problem. You have started worrying about meaning and purpose. Remember, we have been talking about meaning and purpose. Just last week we talked about it. Meaning and purpose we have talked about very often. And this is a general concern of people who start waking up. What am I doing? Attending to social media and sending pictures of myself when I get up in the morning or when I go to bed at night. Who needs them? Who needs them? Who needs to see them? Why do I need to see other people's pictures, showing them shaving their whatever? So when we start worrying about meaning and not trivial pursuit, then we start the hero's journey already. That's the everyman situation. Well, it's not everyman situation. It's the everyman who is waking up. You were asleep before in your innocence or in your gullibility to be manipulated. But now you are waking up. Okay, I'm missing something. I have something that I can do. I really am missing it. What is the meaning of my life? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of life itself, of human life in general? So these questions, when they become important, you were ready. And that's when you become the hero. That's the next stage. So what does the hero do? The other stages, they gradually tell you what the stages of the hero's journey are. Okay, so hero, as soon as you realize the society is selling me a bunch of garbage, like the character in the movie Annie Hall. You remember that 1977 movie got some Oscars? You may have seen it. It's a beautiful movie. One of the characters says, everything our parents told us, the sun, milk, red meat, college, everything our parents told us is good, actually is bad. Is bad. Rebel. Rebel finds something wrong in the current social system. Things are not as they're supposed to be. So the first question the hero asks is the same question as in the myth of Percival. What's wrong here? Rebel. Prodigal son, Jesus called it. The one who goes away out of the society, the one who becomes an outsider. It's very real. People do that, you know. I have been there. Valentina has been there. You have been there probably already. Rebel. You break with the existing system. You have to. No other choice. Then you explore. That's the image of the explorer. Many images of the explorer. You explore. Next image is obvious. You explore and then you start creating. We know this creative process now. This transition we can help you. Science is coming to some help, quantum science. We know the stages that takes you from exploration or the beginning of it to the end of it, which is what the creator does. Creator eventually creates a product. That product could be himself or herself, right? But what does the creator create with? This is where the archetypes come in. Now, Carl Jung's data was all done in the West, as I said, and the Westerners, at his time at least, were mainly concerned about the archetype of power. So the tarot cards, which are very close to Jung's psychology, and Jung's psychology as it is, that we are talking about today, is about the archetype of power. How power evolves through the stage where it is completely devoted to survival, personal power. How can I survive? I don't care about whether other people survive or not. It's my survival. Okay. But in the next stage, we realize that this is not all the potentialities of power. For one thing, it's not making me happy, because if I always am concerned about me, then my relationships with the world suffers. And nobody can live without relationship, at least a personal, intimate relationship. We are like our animal ancestors. We need community. That's part of being alive. So, in this way, we have to have archetypes that will lift the personal nature of the power archetype into transpersonal. So the first image is the pure personal. That's the beginning stage, king or emperor, empress, these images. Power, like old power. But how does power archetype change from the personal to transpersonal? This is where the higher archetypes come in. Love, for which the image is lover. That image is so familiar, right? And the other image is the giver, goodness archetype. Those are the ways that we intimate love or giving to others, which is the other love, to general not intimate, non-intimate, other love. That's goodness archetype. Those are the archetypes which makes the archetype of power from personal into a transpersonal archetype that then can liberate the human consciousness from its constricted me to wide available for everybody. Okay? So the hero goes through this and attains, succeeds. And then the next three are about hero's return. Then hero has to return to the society. Now here things also get complicated because the thing is that people finish their archetypal journey at various stages thinking that this is the end of it. If you're not ready for what really is your vision of becoming, whatever your limited vision is, that's what you become. So the first limited vision is, again, that same thing as the personal power. A little bit different type of personal power, and therefore they do end up helping people in realizing that, well, the way that we are construing the world may not be the correct way. I'm talking about what Carl Jung's image was, magician. Magician. Who are the magicians of today? You know, magic has gone out of business practically. Technology is so good that so many things can be simulated. So the magicians of today that are notable are psychic people. They actually do magic. They're real magic. They're not concoctions of technology. Real magic. Real magic is like you're thinking something and they'll tell you what you are thinking. Telepathy. Real magic is like they have nothing to move things with. You check for magic, no, nothing. And still they're able to change the outcome of a roll of dice. So much so that casino owners have a list of these people. They don't allow them to play in the casinos. There are such people, believe it or not. Psychics. I have met a few myself, including the famous Uri Geller, and he really did demonstrate his abilities very clearly to my wife and I, who both were present. Amazing. Using what? Well, in quantum physics, we have an explanation for it. It's called non-locality, signal-less communication, but that's another story. Let's not go into it. Maybe Valentina will. She is the one who takes you through all the details. So this is the magician. Next one is very, very interesting because these people has finished the work, almost. What happens is that when you get an insight, so the magician never even gets the insight. Magician starts getting the taste of non-locality and immediately see the question of power, that if I can master non-locality, then I can really impress people, make fame and name and money. So that's the magician. The next one, this is called the jester. They culminate their journey, get an insight, but do not manifest it in their being. These people come back, they know the truth now, they see reality, they have seen it because they had the insight about what really is real. And then they make fun of people because it seems all funny to them that people are so ignorant. What they are seeking with this personal power, using negative emotions to subdue people, it's all meaningless. No place in reality, enchanted reality. That will not make them happy. He sees all that and therefore makes fun. So he's called the jester. The old image of jester, we don't see them much anymore. The comedians of today, some of them are relevant, like Jon Stewart, but that's very rare. Usually they make fun of insulting other people, sexual fun, and all this stuff. Not very interesting. But jester can be challenging in that role. They're called trickster. And because they can challenge, they play a very important role. Even the psychic plays a role in attracting attention to that non-locality, which is not part of scientific materialism. But gesture can really challenge because gesture knows, and therefore occasionally they play trickster, the role of trickster in your life. They come and tells you various things to intrigue you. I have encountered quite a few tricksters. Without this, you would not be challenged. Like a guy came in my life and said, look, you've got to look at the data on reincarnation. Started telling me stories of reincarnation. That's a trickster. Okay, the final stage, and this one, Valentina will elaborate in great length because she is attracted to this stage, obviously. She herself is approaching it, which is the sage. Now, this is the one who actually have the insight, actually have even made software, even has changed his or her character. Sage. Wisdom is the character. They have wisdom. This is the culmination of the journey. This is the culmination of journeys like Buddha's, Jesus's. This is what people should cover instead of enlightenment with just an idea, which gives you the wisdom, but you're not manifesting it. You're not manifesting it within your being. When you manifest it within your being, then only it becomes wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to live knowledge. Insight that gives you knowledge does not give you wisdom, live knowledge. So this live knowledge, and me or Valentina is still just exploring it. We never call ourselves as sage per se, but we certainly are striving towards being a sage. All right, I think I have spoken enough. Let Valentina take over and give you the details of how to manifest all these things. Valentina, please.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. And as I'm looking, smiling, because walking this journey, which is unique for everyone, is really a passionate thing. It's a sign that you are really alive. And I would say you can even look at it as an archetypal journey, as a universal model that we all experience it. And it's over lives, it's just not in one lifetime. And it's painful, I have to say, so going through the stages, you get the rewards, obviously, but imagine how is the butterfly. So coming from a larva to the butterfly. So it's usually is nothing easy, not experienced in an easy way. And regardless if you are or not on a conscious path, on a spiritual path, or whatever you call it, we are part of this archetypal journey, which is unique for us all, So that means that we all have a journey to accomplish. But this journey is not just an abstract reality that we connect or not to it, And for example, just whenever we exit our comfort zones, we make some steps on this journey, and this journey, even the little steps, it's reflected in any bigger or smaller activity that we engage, So for example, when you want to just let go being shy, for example, it's a miniature of this archetypal journey. And every time you do it well, the journey, the big one, the archetypal journey is more accessible eventually to us, So regardless in which area of life, speaking of the wholeness archetype, in business, in love, anytime you do this step, you are more prepared for this bigger journey. Okay, and as Amit mentioned, Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell, I'm very much attracted to both of them. And especially to Campbell to speak about the esoteric side of this, and again, I mentioned in the book that Amit just already told you, The Hero with the 1,000 Faces, and he describes that there are the same stages and the model actually, and the journey where we're invited to take on, and there are crucial stages, and it's good to pay attention to these stages, because maybe you will be able to recognize them, as Amit mentioned, these stages in Carl Jung presentation mainly. So again, each step outside of our comfort zone will reflect in the bigger picture, and get rid of any inner fear or blockages. Whenever we make steps, we follow in miniature this archetypal journey. So the first step, as Amit mentioned, just again to just point a few more things, because I think it's important. So it's the ordinary world, the hero or the heroine begins amidst everyday life, unaware of what is ahead, so this is familiar to everybody, and it speaks of our personality. We are the hero of our unique journey, and we start from wherever we are, and what we need to see is to become aware gradually of our strengths and limitations, and we feel that something is not all right fully there, we feel that something needs to happen, and there's a cry within our heart for something new, for adventure, for unexpected, something that goes beyond our ordinary life, we simply feel this because it's normal, it's because every organism needs to grow, otherwise it dies, so see in nature this. And when our life begins to flatline, when we feel that we don't make much progress and something is missing in the direction of our dreams, that's a call for adventure, So again, let's say we have a cozy, harmonious life, not lacking much, still there's something there, and this, so for example, just before meeting a person that you fall in love with, or when just before having an important inspiration or insight, a breakthrough, there is something unclear in you, there, and this is the first step, and then the next step, when you accumulate all this, the call for adventure. So again, not anyone and not anytime can follow this journey. For some steps of this journey, we may not be ready yet, so we need to wait, until that call comes and is very, very loud, so this need for change becomes clear. So a shift in perspective, we see differently, or maybe a call for action that cannot be postponed, so life as usual or business as usual cannot continue, so usually this can be a life change or threat or a loss or an accident, something in your career, something that jeopardizes the life of the hero or the heroine or of the whole community you live in, So it can also be a revelation of the source of an old issue that was bothering us, for example. So something that shakes up your world, So on one hand, you feel threatened, cornered, but on the other hand, you feel very much more alive. So it's a wake-up call, and we are summoned to this adventure, and this call can be intense, can be fast, can be perceived acute, and it can come in various ways. Sometimes it's not comfortable, but again, our transformation starts as a seed that grows in the darkness of our unconscious, if you want, and this seed tells us that we have to do something, but it's not clear what, so it's that possibility of a new us, me or you, so this awakens us to a new possibility of being, of feeling, of doing, and this inspires us to take action to something major, and this is where transformation can begin, so it's up to us and this decision also how far we go, and then the next stage is very interesting to notice and become aware of that, because in a very strange way, after you start this journey, there appears suddenly a refusal of the call, so we are facing some fears that begin to arise, regardless if we walk already or we resist the call, so first is the call, let's do it, and then wait a bit, so this is a normal reaction. This is what everybody has to understand, that it's nothing bad in itself, but again, you may even have to start from stage one, so many people do this. For example, when you want to jump in water, from 1-2 meters high, and if you don't jump at first, and you wait, then you will not jump, and the fear will arise, and or maybe friends will be laughing of you and so on, so you have second thoughts. These second thoughts are dangerous, so after an enthusiastic yes, you end up in a phase where there are these second thoughts. So you're wondering, oh, how can I start this now? How can I leave this job, which even if it's boring, where I have so many friends? So yeah, so I think everybody understands this, right? So initially, again, the adventure seems exciting, and then something triggers the question, this is truly the adventure that I seek, and we may have this tendency to refuse the call and find reasons for not doing it, So when you think of having the adventure of your life, even biologically, your brain will emit dopamine, but also other hormones, and also the fear factor will activate, searching for dangers, and this is just meant to keep us alive. Fear is not designed to stop us from following our dreams, even if it may look like that. It needs just to increase our sensors in search for natural threats, but most people stay too long in this fear state, and we start thinking of all the worst scenarios. Then we come up with reasons and refuse this adventure. So again, rational fear is legitimate, but we also need to pay attention to the irrational fear, which is based on our limiting beliefs. So whenever this rises, again, just remember that this is to keep us safe. It's okay, but just be careful. That's the message. Do it properly. Do it safe. So this appears when we stay too long in fear, and it grows, and then we remain stuck. So this is one danger in the journey. And so again, we can face tough moments when we are cornered by fears, and then we need to clarify ourselves and get the power to go in a safe and proper way. And that, again, is the reason of our natural reaction, this second thought reaction. So it's nothing evil. Just do not stay too long there. Let this mechanism protect you, and then move along. So there is, of course, we learn in our university practices such as self-observation, awareness meditation, to help us cross this threshold of fear, and to be sure it's all right to do that. So then the next stage, so when we are ready to face the actual challenges and cross the threshold that appears, so far they are just assumptions about the challenges, and then we enter the real stage. And here it's very, very interesting and important that we don't do this journey alone. So a guide, a mentor comes along. So it's meeting your guide, and again, this mentor or guide can be also a friend, or even a complete stranger that we meet in a train, maybe, or in a plane, that gives us an advice. Maybe they don't even know why they tell that to us. And it can have also many forms. This mentor or guide it's a multifaceted reality, if you want. So the forms can sometimes not necessarily be human. It can be an advertising panel that can trigger in you a wow, that is what I have to do. It can be something, not necessarily someone, that empowers you in a way or another, and you cannot miss this moment. When this happens, it's powerful. So it's a kind of transfer of power. So again, it's not from the panel, but it's a trigger. So which wakes you up and give you confidence and power. It's of course synchronicity there. So then again, you clarify yourself, and you're above your fears, and you didn't say no to the call, and you clearly proved worthy to go further. And then a mentor again shows up in order to bring advice, insight, and train the hero or heroine to help them overcome completely these initial fears. And that's an empowering moment. So it's kind of like you have the feeling that what seemed impossible alone, now you're far from that. But again, if not, it would be as if you're without compass or food in a jungle, so you don't even know where to go. And so that's an empowering moment which is necessary. And then your path, you feel that the path is open, through different ways, and you're empowered with the tools that you need and that you will use in your journey. So it's a power of initiation, if you want to call it like that. And it's not just explaining principles there. So it's an awakening there. And you receive insight and wisdom for the whole journey that comes ahead. It's not just in movies, this. And the idea is that eventually you learn gradually to connect in a fundamental way to this archetypal journey. And if you look back to what happened so far in your life, for sure you can identify easily such mentors, again, anything that brought such very strong inspiration in you. And of course, again, it can be a teacher or a spiritual guide. All right. And again, it can be several moments of empowerment. It's not just once meeting such mentors, and then we are ready to make this journey, and aware that if we go further, we cross a threshold and there is no turning back. So we feel that we cannot be the same person that we were at the initial stage, and something radically has changed in us, remember the last webinar about the difference between change and the transformation is there. So crossing the threshold, and then we can find this strength and peace in the midst of fears, and to really go in a completely unknown territory, leaving behind the known. And sometimes the hero or the heroine will be in situations that we have no choice. So regardless how we cross this threshold, we commit, and we do this knowing that it will not be easy, and yet we are doing it. So there is, again, life as it was, it's not going to be possible again, in the same way. So you are committed to the journey, and this crossing again may require for us to face our fears, to step into the unknown with faith and trust. And there are practices, for example, to ask yourself, what threshold is it time for me to cross? What do you want most right now? So this is a simple question to which everybody will answer differently, because we all have our thresholds, and we feel that they are confining us into something, So with the new power and the new perspective, we can cross this such threshold, So this crossing limits, one wants not to be so shy about, So everyone has something, and you will get a heads up of what will come, but it has to be an aspiration of our heart, because challenges will touch for sure this threshold, So again, we have to ask ourselves, what decision have I been avoiding that can propel me into such adventure that I'm always asking for, What decision I simply refuse to take so far, I can do it, but I'm scared of, or what people would say if I do that, So we need to be prepared. After we cross such threshold, everything becomes even more tough, So not equally for everyone, but it's a unavoidable stage, because the ego will not want to transform, and the soul will want that. And then, of course, the soul is stronger, but the ego will not give up so easily. And if you want, in the sixth stage, in the way I'm presenting it, that's where the battle begins, and challenges appear, and it's called test or challenges, allies or enemies, if you want, and in the terms of Joseph Campbell. So the hero has fully emerged out of the former life. There's no turning back, and regardless what happens, So I think the time is up. We go deeper in these subjects in our courses, and in other webinars for sure we'll touch these subjects because they're very important. So I think I give it back to Amit.
Yeah, that was very nice. Thank you, Valentina, for sharing all this information with us. I beg your pardon. I should not call this information. These are pearls of wisdom that, when properly understood, when people assign meaning to it, they will find really, really useful things to do in life. Okay, so we are a little bit out of time. Quickly going back to Professor Goswami for a quick wrap around.
Thank you, Krishanu. Okay, a couple of things. Valentina explained it all. Couple of things. One is that if your archetype right now is already love or goodness, that is okay. You have done the power archetype before. You don't remember? No, because it was in your previous reincarnations. So reincarnation theory is very important to understand the progress of the archetypes in our lives, because each of the archetypal investigation takes very long, often longer than a lifetime. And this is why the science has incorporated the phenomenon. Scientific laws and phenomena all have reasons. Everything is geared to the purpose of the manifest universe, and that purpose is to embody the archetypes as far as you can tell with the most current science, quantum science. And this is what we are talking about today. If it rang a bell, then please don't hesitate, revel, and look at the archetypes, and see where you belong and where you want to be in the journey. Get into the creative process. The power of intention is a must. Creativity is a must. Learn those things and delve into it. The other thing I want to mention is that a very interesting phenomenon happens when you delve into the hero's journey. This phenomenon, no hero could do without. This is also built into the science of transformation, science of the hero's journey. Carl Jung also discovered this one. He called it synchronicity. Coincidences we often throw away because, they're are just coincidences. Materialism looks at them as statistical fluctuations. Maybe they are. Some of them probably are. But there are also people who see that there is no such thing as coincidences if you start seeing meaning in them. But that too would be an overestimation sometimes because we see too much meaning coming to us. So making a very absolute statement does not seem to be necessary, but there are coincidences which directly speak to us in the form of I see a new meaning. I see a path where things seem to be closed at some point. That's when you know when these coincidences lead to a breakthrough, then you know that this is a synchronicity. And these synchronicities are part of every hero's journey, every creative journey. You can count on it. This is why hero's journey not really is so difficult. And also don't forget that those tricksters, they will come in your life. And if you have forgotten, they will remind you, they will play a trick on you that will make you remember. So there are lots of things that are not dreamt of in your philosophy, like those words from Shakespeare. And still they are the case. And we can count on it and change, get the hero's journey, get it done, become a hero, not the way of saving a boy's life from a gunslinger. Those things are also important, and rightfully they are called hero. I'm not debating that. But this is a hero of a different kind, the hero of a transformational journey, the hero that is the hero of the movement of consciousness. Let's put it that way. Be that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. For any information on what we are doing, please visit our website www.amitgoswami.org. You can email us at info@amitgoswami.org. Today, it was a wonderful discussion as per me. I believe you would also have liked it. If so, please let us know how you felt. Thank you so much and see you next week.